over Tehran after Iran hit Israel. Now, we start in the Middle East, where strikes between Israel and Iran are now on their fourth day. Israel says it has full aerial operational control over Tehran after Iran hit Israeli cities with a wave of missiles overnight. Our correspondent Anna Foster is in Jerusalem, covering all of the latest developments for us.
Let me bring you right up to date with the latest on the conflict between Israel and Iran and hostilities here in the Middle East, which continue to increase as 4 days now have passed since those attacks that Israel launched on Iran in the very early hours of Friday morning. Now, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has warned that the residents of Tehran would, as he put it, pay the price for Iranian attacks on his country's citizens. But he has since qualified that statement that he put on social media. He said that there was no intention to physically harm the city's residents. Now, Israel says the number of people who've been killed by Iranian missiles has risen to 24 since Friday, with 8 of those deaths coming overnight from Sunday into Monday. There were missile attacks against Haifa and Tel Aviv. Now, Iran's health ministry says that more than 220 people have been killed in Israeli attacks since Friday. It's called on European nations to stop what it describes as an Israeli aggression. And the Israeli military says that it killed 4 senior Iranian intelligence officials with a targeted airstrike, and says it now has full aerial operational control over the Iranian capital, Tehran. So it is a fast-moving conflict, as you know, things developing and changing all of the time. We've also been seeing pictures from Tehran of people desperately trying to leave that city. Long queues of cars, traffic jams as people try to leave. Of course, as these Israeli attacks continue, people there trying to protect themselves and their families, and they feel that the best way to do it is to try and get out of the Iranian capital, Tehran, at the moment. Now, Israel has been also experiencing, seeing and hearing and feeling these barrages of Iranian missiles that have been coming towards Haifa, towards Tel Aviv as well. I just want to show you these pictures filmed by our BBC cameraman, Robbie Wright. This is what it looked like early this morning in Tel Aviv. You can see and hear there the sound and the sight of those Iranian missiles being intercepted in the sky high above Israel by its air defense systems. But some of those missiles do get through, and our Middle East correspondent Hugo Bashega is at one of those sites that was hit in one of those barrages of Iranian missiles. Hugo, what is happening where you are?
Yeah, and I'm here in the city of Petah Tikva. This is, one of the cities where there's, an Iranian missile hit a building. So let me just show you, because behind me we can see this 20-story building that was hit. You can see this huge hole in the building. This is the point of impact of this missile. And this attack happened at around 4 o'clock in the morning, and at least 4 people were killed here, and 2 of the victims had been inside bomb shelters at the time of the attack, and the missile struck a wall between the shelters, and the walls of the shelter didn't, collapsed as a result of this direct impact here. Now, there's a lot of work here. All morning residents have been coming to the buildings. This is a residential complex with 4 buildings. All of them have been damaged. They've been coming here, visiting their flats, if possible, collecting some objects. They don't know when they're going to be able to return to their homes, but there is a lot of work to repair the damage already happening. And I think the feeling that I got from talking to people here, and also yesterday in a different city that had been attacked, is that people are in shock with the scenes that they're seeing here, and I think there's also the feeling that they felt they were protected by the country's air defense systems. Obviously obviously Israel has a very sophisticated layer of protection, and now they're saying that this system is not perfect. I mean, I think the strategy here, the Iranian strategy, is to fire dozens, if not hundreds of missiles and drones at the same time, trying to overwhelm the country's air defense system. So it's almost inevitable that some missiles are going to penetrate this layer of defense. And the authorities have been telling the population here in Israel that this is a robust, strong system, but it is not perfect. So they've been telling the public to follow the instructions. There's a state of emergency here to seek shelter when these attacks happen. And the indications from the Israeli authorities are that these attacks against Iran are going to continue. Perhaps this is a prolonged campaign, not days, but weeks. And they're saying that they expect attacks like this to continue.
Hugo Beshega in Petah Tikva, thank you for joining us. Well, BBC Verify has been looking at what satellite imagery can tell us about the damage that's been inflicted by Israel on Iran's military infrastructure and nuclear facilities. Let's hear more from BBC Verify's Merlin Thomas.
As Iran and Israel continue launching strikes, satellite imagery can give us an insight into what's happening on the ground. And it's particularly useful when looking at Iran, where it's incredibly difficult for BBC journalists to operate. Now, let's take a closer look. We've been examining satellite images of Israeli strikes on military infrastructure and nuclear facilities across Iran. These are some of the areas in Iran that we've been analysing. Now, this is an image from the 15th of June of a missile base in Bidkana, which has been hit. And you can see really clear damage from space in the roof of this building. And elsewhere, we can see several areas of damage at the international airport in Tabriz, which is near a reported military base. Now, we've compared images taken on the 13th and the 14th of June, and you can see this blackened area in the center of the main runway here, and you can see signs of damage to a taxiway at one end, 2 points here where it meets the main runway. And have a look at this. This is Natanz. That's a nuclear site, where you can see damage here in an image on the 14th of June. Now, according to analysis from the Institute for Space and International Security, this electrical substation here was damaged alongside the pilot fuel enrichment plant as well. Now, at BBC Verify, we're still examining more satellite imagery from elsewhere in the country, and we're speaking to experts who can help us understand more about what type of damage we're seeing, and they can tell us what type of targets have been hit too.
Well, the head of the nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, has been talking about damage to Iran's nuclear sites. Now, he says there has been no further damage since Israel's attack was launched.